Welcome to the fourth video in our Reactor introduction series. In this video, we're going to be discussing modifiers, what they are, and how they can be used. In previous videos, we've already shown you how to import objects, how to select your printer, and how to manipulate objects. So, what is a modifier? A modifier is similar to an object. It responds to all the same type of manipulations that objects do. Where they really vary is how the software cuts them into G-code. So object modifiers don't print as solid objects, but instead they change the way and the settings of objects where they intersect. And it's kind of confusing to say, but it's much more intuitive when we go through how it works. So we'll just go ahead and get right into that. The first step is, of course, how do we create a modifier? For this video, I've already imported two boxes. One's a 60 millimeter box and one's another 60 millimeter box that I've scaled down. So we're going to take the smaller one and we're going to make it into an object modifier. So we go ahead and take the selected box and drag it down into the modifiers list. Now you can see that it has become this cross-hatched pattern. And again, we can go ahead and go back and select the object or the modifier. By pressing on the gearbox, we can open up the object modifier. And these are the settings that this modifier will alter when it's intersecting an object. So just for example, we're going to go ahead and reduce the infill down to 10%. And we can select the infill type. And for fun, we'll just pick the fish. We'll leave the align infill width the same. So right now, if we were to prepare this print, we wouldn't really see anything except for a 60 millimeter box. But if we take this object modifier and actually intersect it with the 60 millimeter box, we can go ahead and hit prepare. After a quick slice, we get our 2D preview. And we'll be covering this a little bit later in the workflow. But for example, we see that our standard crossed linear pattern of infill is here until we go down to the layers where the modifier intersects the object. And now we have our fish pattern. That's pretty much the basics of modifiers. But under the modifier list, you may have noticed that we have variable layer thickness. What this allows you to do is to vary the layer height at different millimeter heights along the print. So if we open it up, I've already have some selected in here, but as you open it, this is how it'll appear for the first time. You have a global layer thickness up here at 0.2 millimeters, and this is set in your printer settings. This is just basically a reminder, if you have nothing selected in here or no additions made, that the entire print will be printed at 0.2 millimeters layer height. But imagine that we wanted to print the top layer height at a little bit different of a finer standard. So we come in and we can adjust it, we'll say about 20 millimeters tall to, well, first we have to do the upper side. We'll go to 40 and 20. And from here we can adjust it. Coarse would of course make the layer height larger, and then extra fine would make it lower. Fine, plus, draft, and coarse. And these are set as values derivative directly from the nozzle printhead size. So extra fine is 0.05 millimeters. So what this will do, if we were to press OK now and print this part, is from millimeter 0 to 20 millimeters high, it'll print at 0.2 millimeter layer height. Once it hits that 20 to 40 millimeters high, it's going to print at 0.05 millimeters. And then once it finishes 40 millimeters high, it'll continue to print back into the global thickness of 0.2 millimeters. We can add additional layer height modifiers. And of course, we can hit cancel. And it'll return to the previously saved values. That about wraps it up for object modifiers and variable layer thickness. We're very excited about this feature because right now we're only able to adjust the infill, but this is an architectural structure into the software that we'll be able to move more and more settings into modifiers so that you can get the best prints out of your parts.